My name is Jonathan Goforth, and I've been a full-time realtor for 23 years, a very long time. I sell a lot of houses. In fact, a few years ago, I wrote a book called How to Sell Homes in a Tough Market. It's available at Barnes & Noble, Amazon, Kindle, everywhere. Last year, I was listed in Forbes Magazine by 5-star professionals. They list agents in a lot of the big cities. And so there's an article in here with the top market leaders in the country. That's 2019's Forbes Magazine. This is 2020. This year, March edition Forbes Magazine. And I am in here as one of the top 500 market leaders in the country. What I want to talk about today is one of the most sought after topics in real estate. It's in real estate investing. Real estate investing is so popular right now, but there's two ways to do it. You can buy rentals, which is where you keep them for a long time. You're looking at long-term gains, long-term income, versus flipping, which is short-term. You're going to buy a house, you're going to fix it up, you're going to put it back on the market as fast as you can, and you're going to maximize the profit. You're going to do this one, hopefully, over and over and over quickly, if you can find deals. That's the hard part, is finding deals. But you also need to find deals that make you profitable, to give you cash flow on your rentals. The goal on both of these is making money. This is completely different than just home ownership. The only goal here is making money. So today, let's talk about flipping, and then I'm going to put a link down below for the other video on how to buy rentals. So on this one, let's talk about flipping. This video is geared to a beginner looking to flip a house. Now, if you've been doing this for a long time, you've flipped a lot, you already know how to do all this. But if you're new at this, I'm going to give you the good and the bad, the pros and the cons, about how you do this starting out. So I've been selling houses as a full-time real estate agent for 23 years. I've sold hundreds and hundreds of houses. Now, when it comes to flipping, my brother and I have done that also. And so let me give you the good, the bad, the ugly. Now, first of all, you have to get, it doesn't have to be a great deal, but you have to do a budget. You've got to know what you're going to pay for that house, what all of your expenses are going to be, what you can sell it for again, and what your expenses will be when you sell it again. It's that simple. That's all you're doing. But the horror stories that you hear about flipping are from buyers who didn't do that. They just bought something. They didn't put together a good enough budget, and they get surprises of what it's really going to cost to fix that up. They don't have the slightest clue what it's going to cost to sell it again. They didn't figure in the commission and title fees and all of that to sell it again. So they end up losing money. So first, what I want to do, let's talk about creating a budget. Let's say you want to flip houses. So on every house you look at, you're going to be doing this quickly on paper while you're in the house, doing inventory. Certain things are going to be fixed costs you're just going to know, like your loan fees. Before you start, you need to get with the lender. You need to get yourself pre-approved. You need to do this before you do anything else. Don't go look at anything unless you're pre-approved. You need to know what you're getting into. How much of a down payment do you need? And what kind of a loan are you going to get? You're going to need to put some money down. So if you're going to put 20% down, do you have that 20%? And what price range are you looking at buying? Let's say this is a $100,000 house. That's going to be your budget. Let's say you're going to put down 20%, you need $20,000. Now, in addition to that, you're going to be owning this house for a little while you're fixing it up, and then when you list it to sell until it closes again. So build in a few months of extra interest after you own it. Most people forget to do this, and that's a big surprise when they start getting a mortgage payment on this house they just bought. Now, the cost to resell it. A lot of buyers totally forget, oh, I'm just gonna sell it. And if I sell it for $130,000, I get $130,000. No, there are costs to resell your house. A lot of buyers forget that they do have costs to resell it again. So you've got commission, and they forget they have to pay commission. If you're gonna relist it again to sell it with a realtor, which you're gonna need to do if you wanna maximize your marketing, then figure that in as a cost for the future. You're gonna need to pay title fees, closing fees. Chances are very good you're gonna be paying some of the buyer's closing costs also. So figure in $3,000 or $4,000 or $5,000 for a buyer, because chances are you're gonna have to pay that. Now, you're not gonna want to, but figure it into your budget so if it happens, you've got enough room to do that. Now, you're either gonna have to pay capital gains on it, or you're gonna do a 1031 exchange. This is where you need to talk to your CPA and your real estate agent to see which is better. If you're going to flip this house and do a 1031 exchange, then you need to have another house lined up. Because in this market, we have a very strong seller's market. That means there's not very many houses for sale. That's why it's called a seller's market. The sellers have control of the market. They can list their houses higher. They're probably going to get a lot of showings in 2 or 3 days, especially in the price range you are looking to buy right here. They're probably going to get multiple offers. That could create a little bit of a bidding war, and the price goes up. For a seller, this is the best time in history to sell a house. But it's not the best time to buy and get a deal. There are very few deals out there. However, before I go on, the market will change. The market's always changing. So I've been doing this 23 years. When I first got started back in 1997, there was no social media. The market was doing really good. Then we had the World Trade Center in 2001. The market tanked for a very short time. Probably about 1.5 years is all it took. Then it started climbing again. There were interest rates dropped, and it fueled the market. And then 2003, 2004, 2005, 2006, the market peaked. And then the market collapsed. 2007, it started collapsing. 2008, 9, 10, 11, 12, those years were so bad. And those are the years that were a dream come true for investors wanting to buy long-term for rentals, which is my other video. Or if you wanted to flip, this created the advantage to buy foreclosures, and it gave you the room to do this. This is not the year to buy investment property. However, thanks to coronavirus, there are millions of people out of work right now. And there's people furloughed, there's people who won't go back to work. There are millions of people behind on their mortgage payments right now. But thanks to the government we have, they made a very smart move to not allow evictions or foreclosures right now. And this gives time for the country to heal and hopefully get right back on track. But the time will come in a few months, going into 2021, we might see the real estate market shift into a buyer's market or a more balanced market. That means we're going to probably, hopefully not, but we'll probably see some foreclosures and a lot more listings coming on the market next year. If we start getting a lot of listings, that opens up the opportunity for getting some deals. That's what you're waiting for. So right now, be doing research. Think of the areas you want to buy. Look for deals. If you can find a deal, jump on it. Get yourself financially in place. Get with a lender. Figure out what it is you need, because the time is coming quickly. In a matter of weeks or a very short amount of months, you need to be ready to take advantage of a whole different kind of market. Now, the biggest thing in your budget where people screw up, buyers who have no clue what they're doing because they're new at this, they just go in and they think, oh, I could probably put $20,000 in this and make it a great house and flip it. Well, where is that $20,000 coming from? You need to have a budget. If you're going to replace all those windows, then you better know how much each window costs to have it installed. Count up the number of windows as you're looking at these houses and you have your budget. Appliances. If you have not looked at the cost of appliances in 10 years, you're going to be in for a shock. They're a lot more money. You don't have to go in the stores and wear a mask to go look around at what they're costing. Just go online. Google 2 or 3 stores so you have an idea what a good budget will be for a dishwasher, refrigerator, maybe or maybe not do the refrigerator, a new stove, new microwave, paint. Now let me just say, you are probably going to do the painting yourself. That's what my brother and I did. Why? Now some of this you have to, well, you're probably going to pay other people to do a lot of this, unless you are really handy and you can do a lot of these remodeling things yourself. But if you're going to do your own painting, take your time with that and do a nice paint job. Don't be sloppy and you go so fast that we get in there as realtors and we're looking at the walls and there are paint runs where they didn't go back and check their rolling and they let it dry like that. And there's the trim is horrible. That really turns off a buyer because they are not going to come back in and repaint that house. They're expecting it to look perfect because you're flipping it. Now, when you're looking at these houses, you might do an inspection, you might not. If you're talented enough that you can just check it out, you're probably going to skip the inspection because you know what you're looking for. If it needs a new roof, you would better get a roof bid, because you could have 2 or 3 layers on that house. You could have damaged plywood underneath the composition, and that could get quickly very expensive. Look at the chimney. Look inside the chimney. You don't have to have a chimney inspection if you can't get it done that fast, but get a flashlight and look all around inside that chimney box and look for cracks. Look for, make sure the damper works. There's some things you can do while you're in there. Now, the kitchen and bathroom are going to be 2 very expensive places. Make sure you have a budget for that. I would recommend, if this is an old home, that you have the sewer inspected before you close. This is one that gets potentially $8,000, $10,000, $12,000 if it has a sewer issue. When you flip it and your new buyer does their inspection, they are probably going to do a sewer inspection. That's when you're going to just cringe and think, oh no, I have no clue what that sewer line's like. So I think before you close on a house, you should have that inspected. Look at the foundation. If it smells like a cave down there, it probably gets water when it rains hard. That might be something you also need looked at, because that could ruin your budget. Something people totally forget about is the dumpster. You might need $400 in your budget for that. That helps you put together a very clear budget. Now you know what you're going to spend on fixing this house up. The biggest mistake that you make as a flipper, as the buyer trying to get a deal out there, is you don't know what your comps are. If you pour money into this house and make it like brand new, better than ever, what's the maximum price you can sell that house for? What's as high as it can go? That's determined by your comps. Because even if you way oversell this house and you get multiple offers and you've got a great realtor that listed it for you in 2 or 3 months, it has got to appraise. That's where the problem can come in. Now, a couple things you need to know. Your realtor will guide you through this. But if you're buying this house to flip it quickly, in the price range you're probably in, say this is a first-time buyer market, your buyers that are going to buy it from you are probably going to be getting an FHA loan. A lot of them will be. Hopefully you get a conventional loan, but if it's an FHA loan, you cannot go under contract when you sell it again less than 45 days. So keep that in mind. If you're rushing through this, you're going to get back on the market in 3 or 4 weeks, and you go under contract and your realtor didn't tell you, oh, by the way, we can't go under contract with an FHA buyer, which is going to knock out most of your market. Oops, you can't use that buyer. Now, this doesn't mean you can't close with another buyer in 45 days. You can't sign a contract to sell it in 45 days. The other thing you need to be aware, if you sell this within 6 months, 180 days of you taking ownership of it, and you are going to double the price that you paid for it, let's say you paid $50,000 and now you're going to sell it for $140,000. You're going to have the buyer will have to have 2 appraisals. Typically, that's the rule right now. So keep these things in mind because you need to know what's about to happen. You need to do your research also. I'm going to tell you a typical scenario. I listed a house earlier this year. Now you need to understand this because you're going to learn a lot of things out of the story. This was one of their first times. It might have been their first time to flip a house. This was in a suburb, great location, great suburb, great schools. They picked the perfect location. It's in a very old part of the suburb. There's a lot of junky looking houses. They're old. Some of them are being flipped, but a lot of these are rentals. They're not going to come up for sale. They just look run down because they're rentals. Landlords just operate like that. This client, I was not his agent in the beginning. He just wanted to buy a house and flip it. So he did that. He bought a house. It came on the market. In this environment, it had a lot of showings. It had multiple offers. He spent $10,000 over. I believe he spent $11,000 over to buy this house. He won. He got the house. Then he way overspent to fix it up. He should have just done a normal kitchen remodel, but no, he took the kitchen out, put in brand new cabinets. He put in beautiful granite countertops. It didn't need that. He took the old hardwood floor out that had cat pee all over it and black stains. And instead of just carpeting over, he removed the hardwood floor and put in a beautiful wide plank hardwood floor like you see in brand new construction in the $400,000 houses. That's what he put in this. It was the nicest remodel I've ever seen. He way overspent. And then the agent who sold him that house got to relist it. She had no clue what she's doing. She listed it probably, gosh, I believe it was about $25,000 higher than it could possibly have sold for. And it sat on the market. It sat on the market for sale after it's fixed up for 5 months while he is now making a mortgage payment, paying insurance and taxes and utilities and interest on an ongoing loan that he doesn't know when and if it can even resell. So now he's got stress, staying up all night, worrying about this. So I come on the scene at the end of 5 months and they want me to relist it. So he's referred to me by somebody else. And I look at the situation. It's easy for me to say, you are overpriced. My gosh, who picked this new price? There is no way possible that house could appraise, even if somebody came along and paid that, which they at that point had over 100 showings. They had lots of offers in that 5 months. The offers were all low, so they couldn't take them. What ended up happening, I had a heart-to-heart talk with them. Now, at first, I am not going to take this listing at that price. Why waste my time on a house that I can't sell? And why do I want to deal with his nightmare and hearing him complain about, oh, I can't believe this nightmare's happening to me? Well, it's his own fault. He did not research the comps of what everything in that suburb was selling for in that size house. This was very small. 2-bedroom house, no basement, itty bitty garage, and that's what they sell for. So what happened? I did sell it. I got him to reduce it some, and I explained to him we are still too high in price. So after a couple of weeks, I got him to reduce it because I said we are in a dangerous situation. At this point, we are 6 months into this for him. It's my first month. And I explained to him, if he is not able to get this house sold quickly, he's going to have to rent it. He's going to have to do something with this because all of these expenses are on his credit card. Now he's paying enormous amounts of interest on all of these things that he's bought. He needs to get this house sold. So we reduce it again. We get an offer, and I explain to him he needs to take this offer. This is a great offer. We go under contract. They took the house as is because it's in perfect shape. It's the nicest remodeling ever. And then the appraisal happens. It did not appraise. No surprise to me. It was still kind of a surprise to him, even after I said, we've got to go through an appraisal. And I know what the comps are, and I sent him the comps, and I said, he overpaid to buy it. He's way overspent to fix it up. And so it ended up coming down about another $8,000 off of that. But we closed, and he is free from it. And I said, the lesson here is, and he said, well, I'm never going to do this again. That's not the lesson. The lesson is do it right. Find a better deal, don't overspend, put together a budget, and don't deviate from these expenses. Put it on the market, you've got everything built in to sell it again, and built in some profit for yourself. If you want to make $15,000 on this flip, make sure that's built into your budget so you know every single thing to sell this house again, so you're not caught off guard when you list it with your real estate agent and I owe what? How much commission to resell it? It's okay. You already knew that. You've already figured into your future budget with one of the costs. That's how you flip houses, and you can make a lot of money doing this. So get yourself ready, because as the market starts to change, there will be deals coming. And get yourself ready with your loan and get ready to start flipping some houses.